7 days after my spine surgery, I still needed both hands just to sit up in bed. Every movement sent a burning ache through my lower back, and the thick brace wrapped around my waist reminded me that one wrong step could undo everything the surgeons at Denver General had worked so hard to repair. My doctor had been painfully clear: no lifting, no bending, no stress, and absolutely no housework. I believed my husband, Kyle, understood that. He'd held my hand before surgery and promised he'd take care of everything until I recovered. That's why I smiled when I heard his truck pull into the driveway that afternoon. I honestly thought he had picked up my prescriptions or maybe even my favorite soup. Instead, he walked into our bedroom, tossed his keys onto the dresser, and said, "Tomorrow afternoon, 16 of my relatives are coming to stay here for 2 weeks, so make sure the house is ready." I actually laughed because I thought it had to be a joke. Then I noticed he wasn't smiling. Before I could even ask why, his phone rang. He answered on speaker, and his mother cheerfully announced, "Don't worry, sweetheart. She always manages everything." My heart sank because, for the first time in 12 years, I realized they had never cared how much I was hurting. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise because the pain medication had already worn off. Just rolling onto my side felt like someone was driving a knife into my back. While I struggled to reach the bottle of pills on my nightstand, I heard Kyle and his mother talking downstairs. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but every word carried through the quiet house. "Don't let her exaggerate," my mother-in-law said with a laugh. "She'll be fine once everyone's here. Besides, family comes first." Kyle didn't defend me. He simply replied, "She knows what's expected." Those 5 words hurt more than the surgery itself. For 12 years, I'd cooked every holiday meal, cleaned up after every family gathering, and smiled through every insult because I wanted peace. Suddenly, every sacrifice I'd ever made felt completely invisible. A few hours later, Kyle left to pick up extra groceries, leaving me alone. I slowly shuffled into the living room, hoping to distract myself, when I noticed a large certified envelope sitting on the entry table. My name was printed across the front, but I had never seen the sender before. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter from an attorney, along with several official documents that mentioned our home address. I frowned, completely confused. Why would a lawyer be contacting me now? Then I reached the final page, and one sentence made my heart pound so hard I forgot about the pain in my back. Everything I believed about our house was wrong. I read the letter again, then a third time, convinced I had misunderstood it. 3 years earlier, when Kyle and I had nearly lost the house during a difficult financial stretch, my late grandmother had quietly stepped in and paid off the remaining balance. According to the attorney, she never considered it a gift to both of us. She had legally transferred the property into my name alone, with instructions that the documents be delivered only after her estate was completely settled. Because of a clerical error, the package had been delayed until now. My hands shook as I called the number printed at the bottom of the page. Within minutes, the attorney confirmed every detail. Then he said something that completely changed the way I looked at my marriage. "Ms. Carter, no one can stay in that house without your permission. Legally, you are the sole owner." I thanked him, but I didn't hang up immediately. I asked one question that had been racing through my mind. If my husband invited 16 people without asking me, do I have the right to refuse? The attorney answered without hesitation. "Absolutely." After ending the call, I sat quietly in the living room, staring at the family photos covering our wall. In every picture, I was smiling while carrying trays of food, cleaning up after holidays, or standing in the kitchen while everyone else relaxed. Suddenly, I realized those photos weren't memories. They were proof of a pattern I had ignored for years. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a group message from Kyle's sister. She had sent everyone's arrival time along with one cheerful sentence: "Can't wait to be spoiled by your cooking again tomorrow." I stared at the screen for several seconds before slowly smiling. They all believed tomorrow would be exactly like every other family visit. None of them had the slightest idea that this time, I already had a plan. The following afternoon, I heard the first SUV pull into the driveway. Then another. Then another. Within minutes, 16 relatives filled my front yard with laughter, folding chairs, coolers, and enough luggage to stay for weeks. Kyle stepped outside wearing the same confident smile he'd worn every time his family visited, completely convinced I'd quietly take care of everything as usual. He opened the front door and waved everyone inside. Before a single person crossed the threshold, I slowly walked into the entryway wearing my back brace. The room instantly fell silent. I smiled politely and said, "Before everyone comes in, there's something you all need to know." Kyle frowned. "Emily, not now." I calmly handed him the attorney's letter. He barely glanced at it before laughing. "What is this supposed to mean?" I looked directly at him. "It means this house legally belongs to me. It also means no one stays here unless I say so." His smile disappeared. His mother grabbed the papers from his hands, read the first page, and her face turned pale. "Kyle, she's telling the truth." Nobody spoke. I could see confusion spreading across every face in the driveway. Finally, one of Kyle's older brothers looked at him and asked, "You invited all of us without asking Emily?" 7 days after spinal surgery? Another relative quietly added, "We thought she wanted us here." I shook my head. My doctor ordered complete bed rest. I never agreed to any of this. One by one, family members began apologizing. Several of them turned their frustration toward Kyle instead of me. Within 15 minutes, the coolers were loaded back into the SUVs, the suitcases disappeared, and the driveway slowly emptied. Kyle stood there alone, staring at the empty street. After several long seconds, he whispered, "I never imagined you'd stand up to me." I looked at him calmly and replied, "Neither did I. But healing isn't just about my spine anymore." As I closed the front door behind me, the house felt quieter than it had in years. For the first time since my accident, I wasn't simply recovering from surgery. I was finally recovering my own life.